Spurgeon here with RevZilla, and today we're going to take a look at the Alpinestars Supertech S-M10 Carbon helmet, available at RevZilla.com. Now, if this looks new, innovative, and exciting, it should. This is the first time that we have seen a helmet from Alpinestars, and they have hit the ground running, coming in with a dirt helmet at the top of the food chain. So the color you're going to see on the table right now is the Meta. This is going to come in around the $650 price point. There are going to be solid colors available, a gloss white as well as a matte black, and those will be around the $580 price point. But this is going to be a premium dirt helmet, and this is really going to be aimed at the hardcore motocross audience. Now, you could use this as a trail helmet, but really this is going to be focused on that motocross crowd. So what are you getting here? First of all, it's going to be the construction. This is a full carbon composite shell. It is going to have 4 shell sizes. And in case you're wondering where the breakdown is, the first shell size is going to be the extra small. You then get a medium, a large, and then the 4th shell will be for the extra large and 2XL. 4 EPS liners are also used in the construction of this lid. 16 intake vents, massive amount of airflow, and then 5 exhaust vents. Really, what's going to set it apart from an airflow standpoint is not just the vents, but actually the way that the inner liner is designed, and we'll get into that as we work our way through the video. And then you are looking at 2 pounds 14 ounces in a medium when we threw this on the scale. So a nice lightweight design for the motocross audience out there. Intermediate oval head shape, a little bit longer front to back, a little bit narrower down the side of the head. This is going to work for the majority of the riders out there, and no surprises on Fitment. So again, this is the first time that we have seen Alpinestars step into the world of helmets, and they really have just pulled out all the stops. So the first thing that we're going to talk about before we dive into all the protection features is going to be the venting scheme. We're going to work our way into the peak. But when we get to the inside of this, we're going to talk about the fact that this is going to utilize a new Mips E-2 system. So this is not the traditional Mips. And then you're also going to have a way to adjust the way the helmet fits you based on the positioning of the inside liner. So you can actually reposition the liner to move the helmet further down, further forward, further back, and fine-tune the comfort and fit of this particular lid. But again, before we get into all the insides of this, let's take a look at the front. So when you're looking at the eye port for this, the first thing you'll notice is that you have a nice size eye port. This is going to work for the majority of the goggles out there. The one thing I noticed is when I was trying this with the 100% racecrafts, you have to take the nose bridge off the goggles because it interferes with the actual helmet. So just keep that in mind. If you're running a nose bridge on your goggles, you're probably going to have to remove that to be able to work with the eye port of this particular helmet. You'll also notice the vent scheme at the bottom. Now, again, this is the first time Alpinestars has done a helmet. I've got some things that I like. I've got some things that I don't like. One of the things that is going to be a great feature here is that you have massive amount of venting pushing airflow through. Some of the minor nitpicks that I want to point out. So while this Alpinestars little logo thing on the front looks cool, it also works to trap dirt, mud, and block a little bit of airflow. There is going to be a screw on the inside, so it's going to make it easy to clean. But that logo there, while it does look cool, just interferes a little bit with the performance of the airflow. Again, not a huge deal breaker because you do have so many other vents, but just keep in mind that's something you're going to have to probably regularly clean out. The other thing you'll notice is if you're looking at the 2 main channels right below the nose, there's no mesh in there. So there's no mesh lining the vent the way you're going to see on the rest of the vents. And you do run the risk, if you're using this in a trail setting or even in a regular motocross setting where you're getting roosted, of pebbles, dirt, working its way through there and maybe smacking you in the face or possibly even a tooth. I know I've had that happen on lesser helmets, so it is something real. Would love to see that just covered up with a little bit of mesh so you get the airflow, but you don't run the risk of having something coming through and actually hitting your face. Now, what you'll notice is with the peak on this. So what we've seen from a lot of other manufacturers is they're working on figuring out the best way to do a breakaway peak. Alpinestars completely did their own design. So what you're going to notice with this is that you're going to have these 3 circles, and they simply have a little mount on the inside, and these pop right into place. So if you do go down, if you do get hit, this is going to be a simple breakaway design to this. The downside of that, there's no adjustability forward or backwards. So this is going to be a fixed peak. If you are using this for the street, if you're a dual sport rider and you're saying, well, I want to try riding this on the street a little bit, it is a slightly firmer peak, so you don't have to worry about it kind of pulling all over the place the way some of the flimsier peaks will do while you're riding on the road. Still not something you want to take up to 80 miles an hour because you are going to get that lift there, but it is going to be done really nice in its design, but the one thing to keep in note is that with this breakaway feature, it is going to be that fixed. So you're not gonna be able to adjust the peak, but really cool, innovative way for them to incorporate a breakaway peak to this. You'll also notice, actually, let's go ahead and pull that right back off again, because it'll lead us into being able to talk about the vent scheme. So you will notice, we talked about those 16 intake vents. You're gonna have vents that run along the whole forehead, the whole brow of this, as well as the top. And when we take a look at the inside in just a moment, you're gonna see exactly where that air channels through the top of it. So it works to help pull all the hot air out from the top to the back. It's not even that forceful direct air that you're getting, it's more about just channeling all the warm air that your head is expelling and pulling it from the front all the way out to the exhaust vents that you're gonna see lining the back of the helmet. Now the one thing you'll notice, you do see some meshing below this area down at the bottom. Not really gonna be any exhaust vents. Your main exhaust vents are gonna be up at the top. These will probably be maybe somewhere on the inside of the helmet, but we were not able to see them from just pulling out the liner. So I think this is probably more a little of a decorative piece than anything else. Now, before I jump to the inside, you will notice this little rubberized gasket along the bottom. So the shell actually stops just above that rubberized gasket. Now this rubberized gasket is gonna be sitting above what is EPP, that's expanded polypropylene. It's a little bit softer than an EPS liner, and what this does is if you get into a major impact where this is going to come down and smack against your shoulders, this helps to reduce impact to your collarbone. So it's just a bit of a softer material along the base of the helmet, not nearly as rigid as this shell, and it helps to absorb some of that impact you might take in the event of a crash. So let's go ahead now and take a peek at the inside, because there's a lot going on in here. So you do have the emergency release cheek pads. Those are going to pull right out, and you can see this is a little bit different design. You have these little tabs that kind of sit up, and if you do have to pull them out in an emergency, you just go ahead and you can pull them, and you can pull them right out. So I like this design a little bit better than some of the ones where you see them just regularly sitting out, because you can actually, again, pull that up and hide it. And then when the emergency services need to get this off, you can pull that right out, and it allows them to just slide right out. But when you're not in use, you can hide them perfectly in there. The other thing you'll notice is you are going to have speaker cutouts in here. So again, if you are using this in the trail, you want to run a comm system, those are going to be pre-wired for speaker cutouts. If you're not using those, there is that little foam-backed insert, so you're not going to have to worry about them interfering with the helmet in any other way. But just a nice little additional feature for Alpinestars to incorporate in there. Now the real story that we're going to be taking a look at here is two things. So one, it's the Mips E-2 system. So this is a new advanced MIPS system, and if you've ever seen the big yellow inside liner of a MIPS system before, you'll notice that is completely void in this particular helmet. Instead, what you have is the actual liner is dual layered, and you can actually, when you get this in your hands, you can feel the liner kind of sliding back and forth. So it's a much more sophisticated system that helps to promote airflow, but it also gives you all the benefits of MIPS, reducing that rotational impact that you get when your head hits the ground. So pulling this out, one of the things you'll note, like I just said, it's actually a dual liner system that's doing the work here. So you'll see that you have this inner liner and this outer liner, and what sits against your head is different than what's sitting against the inside of the helmet. And this allows the liner that sits on your head to just slide against the inside of the helmet, allowing the head to move a little bit separately from the helmet. So as the helmet rotates with that impact, your head doesn't. So it doesn't transfer those rotational forces to your noodle. Now, the other story you'll see here, and again, this continues the MIPS system, but you'll also notice you've got 3 different points of closure, or 3 different points of mounting for this particular top liner. And what this does is it allows you to actually pull the liner further down your head to pull the helmet up. It allows you to pull the liner further closer to the helmet, which allows you to bring the helmet closer to your head. You can pitch it forward, you can pitch it back, all by where you want to position the top liner itself. You'll see you have these little tabs, and they're going to fit into 3 separate holes along the inside. So if you take a look at the inside, you'll see the massive channeled cutouts, and that's where your air is going to flow through the top of this. It helps to pull all the heat that you're expelling from your head, pull it from the front, channel it out the back. And then you're also going to notice that you have those 3 little positions in the front and the back where you can actually mount and change the position of the liner itself. And you also have that emergency eject system, so it's emergency eject ready. If you want to add that, you can. And then, like we talked about with the MIPS in the top, you'll notice that this is going to be directional. Those little arrows telling you that this goes to the front. And this is that same system where you do have that top which moves along the inner liner. So the inner liner sits in your head, that stays in place in the event of an impact. This actually shifts with the helmet, reducing all of that rotational force. But really the other story about this is the added comfort of being able to fine tune the fitment of your helmet. And this is something that we have not seen in use at this point. So this is a brand new system, completely innovative from Alpinestars. So when I talk about a fact that a helmet manufacturer has come to the table, guns a-blazing, you know, with a helmet that they've never created a helmet before, and this is what they come out with. It's definitely an innovative product. It's definitely something we're excited to see, and I would imagine there's going to be a lot of folks out there that are excited to try this out. Now, at this point in the review, if you want to hear from folks that are already using this on their motorcycles, now would be the time to click the info button on their desktop or mobile device, which will allow you to read other rider reviews of folks that are already putting this helmet through its paces. If you have questions for one of our gear geeks as to which dirt helmet is right for you and your style of riding, now would be the time to get on the horn, give them a call, 877-792-9455, or as always, you can give them a shout via email at cs@revzilla.com. Now I want to thank you for checking out this detailed breakdown of the Alpinestars Supertech S-M10 Carbon helmet. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.